the metal prices are not high enough to sustain the needs of the human race. The silver industry itself, producing 750 million ounces a year, and the world consuming over 1 billion ounces a year. How long can that last? With the new Green Deal, on the electric car, I know you're going to ask me questions about electric cars, but there's just simply not enough silver being produced. In order for the miners to produce as much silver as necessary to do what all the governments around the world want to do, we're going to have triple-digit silver just to get there. But what I mean by that is the fact that 70% of silver is used in commercial applications in some form or the other, and silver production is dropping substantially over the last 4 or 5 years. We have been in a deficit for multi years, and if you go back 30 years, the deficit has been pretty dramatic. Whereby they're depending on who you listen to, there's somewhere between 1 billion and 2 billion ounces of silver in commercial form sitting on the Earth's surface, and the miners are producing 750 million ounces, or at least that's the estimate for 2020, and the world consumption is somewhere around 1 billion, or maybe slightly higher than 1 billion. Good solid 6 years of lack of investments in developing new projects around the world. It takes a long time to develop a mine. From the drill bit, for one thing, you've got to get a discovery. First you have to have geological theory. Then you've got to, acquire the property. Then you've got to get permits to drill it. And that in itself could take, 6 to 12 months just to get your first rig on the ground. That process could take another 2-3 years. And it very much depends on the market conditions. If the market conditions are poor for the miner, that miner can't raise capital to do the necessary drilling to develop that asset. So the asset sits there and nothing happens to it. And that's what's happened over the last 5-6 years. You've got 2 major new technologies, electric cars, but also solar panels, which also is a relatively new technology. So you got, and between these 2 technologies, they become major drivers behind the silver price. And then people are waking up to that. And if, we want to adopt this new Green Deal, or we want to get off oil and gas, we want to electrify the planet in better or more efficient ways. This call couldn't be done without silver. All the technologies that are in our homes that we rely on, flying around the world, all the stuff that we use and take advantage of as a human race requires silver. And people just look at silver as a poor man's gold, which is not. Silver is not gold. Gold is money. Silver is a strategic precious metal. There are forces that don't want certain markets to move, commodities. It's not in the best interest of the government to have oil prices at $100 a barrel. It creates inflation, it creates economic turmoil, and blah blah blah, right? And if you're JP Morgan or HSBC and you just sold 50 million ounces to Sony at $25 an ounce, and you're obligated to deliver those ounces to Sony for every month for the next 12 months, you don't really want to see that price go over $25, do you? So now they're short, they're delivering into Sony's order to produce televisions, and silver's $30 an ounce, and the traders at JP Morgan go and say, oh my God, we're losing money on this trade, and it starts costing them margins and all that kind of nonsense. So there is an interest to keep a lid on commodities right across the board, because they're used so much in industry, and industry relies on these commodities. So they don't want the volatility, because it's hard for them to manage their business. Us as a miner, we try to do our budgets at $25 an ounce, and next thing you know, the silver's at 20, and we got to start cutting costs. And then if silver goes to 30, we can spend a little bit more money and build the business a little bit more quickly. But miners have to move and shake with price, but the commercial consumers, they get to work with the banks and fix their price over periods of time for their needs of their businesses. Above ground supplies are dropping, production's dropping, consumption's going up. You got 2 major drivers: electric cars, solar panels, other technologies coming. I think there's a perfect storm. I think we're going to see ratio collapse. We saw the ratio get down to 31, I think it was in April 2011, 31 to 33 or something, memory. from memory, but I think we're going to get closer to its actual mining ratio of 8-to-1. We may never see 8-to-1, but it could be 10-to-1 or 20-to-1. But whatever it gets to, it should not be where it's trading at today. Well, I felt like I was probably the first to ever come out with the triple-digit silver phrase. Quite some time ago, I came out with that phrase. I've seen in the last year or so that there has been others joining that bandwagon, or at least that viewpoint, I should call it. And it's nice to see. At least I'm not alone anymore. But it's based on simple math. It's just it's the mining rate. That's all it is. Just pure supply demand fundamentals. And we saw cobalt take off. We've seen lithium do well. We've seen palladium and platinum do well. Copper's done quite well. Silver is the only metal that has not reached has not surpassed its old nominal high ever. And that old nominal high was in 1979, I guess it was, or 1980. And it didn't last very long, but it was up at $50. And we got close to that in April 2011. And it's shocking to me where you've got such an important metal, such a strategic metal, that is just so much reliant on the paper pricing mechanism, that all the people that tend to price the metal are so fixed on this, where they think silver should be trading at. So and then they just subconsciously traded at those prices, yet they're not looking at the true supply demand fundamentals of the metal itself. I'm hearing stuff, now with Biden in as president, and I've heard a couple of people dropping the word silver, and hey, this might be an important metal to be looking at for the next cycle. So it's nice to hear some of that chat coming, but it's really the first time, since I put First Majestic together, that I've actually started to hear people talk about silver in a more strategic way that I've been thinking since I put the company together. I think it's going to push everything up. Quite honestly, I think we're going into a inflationary period, and there's going to be tons of money printed, and these governments aren't going to stop. And and of course, they're not only you have the money printing, but you also have them pushing green technology. So you almost got best of both worlds. And then I'm both bullish on gold because of the money printing, but I'm very, very much more bullish on silver because, of course, the money printing, but about a whole new Green Deal and where we're going with technology. If we're going to be doing all the things these governments want to do by taking fuel combustion cars off the roads of all the cities around the planet, you're going to need a lot more silver than what we're currently mining today.